Hey, welcome back everybody, Roby1 here, and today, the console war continues. So what do I mean when I say that? Of course I mean that the PlayStation 4 just launched, and in just a few days, the Xbox One is also going to launch. So the next-gen console race is pretty much in full swing. The Wii U's been out for a year, PlayStation 4 has been out for T-minus 3 days, I believe, and in T-minus 4 days, the Xbox One is going to be out, and there's going to be all three of the next-generation consoles out in people's homes, vying for everyone's attention and their money and the mind space of gamers. You know, of course, you know, the PC is an existing legitimate form of the next gen gaming space as well. But really, the hype and everything that's moving, propelling everything forward right now is the console race. So that is pretty badass. That is very exciting. There's nothing but people talking about it. I've talked about it several times in just my few short weeks making videos here. So I figured what I would do today is touch as quickly as I can. I don't get to do that very often, but I'm going to try to make this fast and just touch on the exclusive games. Only the exclusive games that we know are coming, that obviously just had launched for the PS4 will be coming soon within launch window, and same for the Xbox One. I think that'll be kind of fun. There's a few great games that, of course, are coming out for both, you know, / available for all three. Call of Duty Ghosts, Battlefield 4, Assassin's Creed 4. Those are some of the big games that are available for all three systems, except for Battlefield, but still. That's pretty exciting. But of course, it's the exclusives that really make a difference, especially at launch, because let's face it, traditionally, launches are terrible when it comes to software for any console. I feel like a lot of times people tend to forget this continuing next generation more so than ever, because the poor Wii U, my lovely system from my favorite company, Nintendo, which is really a great and powerful system in its own right, just had caught so much shit for having a slow first year. And you know what, everybody? That's happened almost always. Let's look at, if anything, I'm tangenting, but whatever, that's what I do. So let's look at what I think are probably the only two really successful, well, you can consider three, actually shit, maybe four really successful console launches ever. And the reason I was even bringing them up is that they have all been Nintendo. If we go back, I mean, if you include the NES, it came out with Super Mario Brothers. That was when console launches weren't a big deal, but that game, kind of a big deal. That created the game that we know today. And then you have the Super Nintendo with Super Mario World. Dear Christ, that's an amazing launch title. Again, not quite launch experiences in 1990, 91 when that came out that they are today, but still, that's a big deal. But let's exclude those. Let's think of more modern games and stuff as it's a little bit more relevant to the gaming that we're doing today. We're going to go with the Nintendo 64 with Super Mario 64, game changer if there ever was one. And then the Wii launched with Twilight Princess. That is a full-fledged console next generation Zelda experience the day that the Wii came out. That definitely led to the very strong sales of it throughout its lifetime. So, you know, other than those examples, there's been tons of other systems, some of them very, very successful, that had really not ever launched with anything that good. I do think maybe, and someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the PlayStation 2, within its what you would have considered the launch window, I think Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of the Patriots, or not Sons of the Patriots, what was that one called? Shit. Sons of the Patriots was Metal Gear Solid 4. Damn it. Something Liberty, whatever. Anyway, Metal Gear Solid 2, that was, I believe, pretty close to launch for PlayStation 2. That was really at the time where I wasn't into Sony or the PlayStation. That's pretty much the reason why I am forgetting exactly. Sons of Liberty. I think I just remembered it. I believe it was Sons of Liberty. I was combining a few different titles. Sons of the Liberty, Patriots, and the Gun, Solid Snake Liquid, whatever the titles are. You know, good games, but I'm not a huge fan of them. So still, traditionally, consoles don't launch strong. The Wii U is really no exception. It came out with New Super Mario U, which was okay. I love Mario, but those are not my kinds of games. Zombie U I thought was fan-freaking-tastic. Sold okay, got pretty good reviews, honestly not as good as I thought. But still, that was the only kind of noteworthy game that really launched for the system. And so, now I come full circle off of my tangent to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And as I've said a few times, both on this channel and even to a lot of my friends in conversation, none of the games for either of those systems have been exciting me, and that's kind of a hard thing to say because initially I was really excited for and planning to get both those systems right away. And I realized that because they have slow launches with really not a lot of compelling software, even the excitement of the new hardware isn't enough for me to plunk down all that money on those right away. the diehard Nintendo fan in me wasn't going to let the Wii U go by, and I do still love Sony and Microsoft, so I'm very excited to own those systems, but those I can pass on for a while, save my money until the really good games come out, and that's also not, we're not even going to get into the fact that the PS4 has had a lot of problems, so it probably doesn't hurt to wait until the first few batches come out and get the systems after they've fixed some of the problems. So, what I want to do really quickly is I'm going to just read, some of the few quality, the more higher profile exclusives coming out for each system. There's a few indie games that are releasing for each one, some of which I've played, some downloadable only ones, and some of the typical things like Just Dance and Zumba Fitness kind of games that they're viable for the kind of market they are. I know, I get it. However, those are not the kind of games that I want to talk about, and I don't think they're the kind of games that you really want to hear me talk about, so I'm not going to talk about them. So just a few really high profile for each system and kind of discuss those. So when it comes to the PlayStation 4, just last night, during halftime, watching my beloved Denver Broncos kick the shit out of the unbeloved Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry to any Chiefs fans. We actually, I was over at a friend of mine's house who does have a PlayStation 4. So we decided to pop that thing on during a halftime and a little bit after the game. And it was certainly exciting. Had a blast playing it. Honestly, the funnest thing we did was played with some of the. He bought the PlayStation Eye for it, the PS4 version of the PlayStation Eye, and we were playing some of the goofy, completely pointless shit that thing allows you to do. And honestly, that was a blast. Granted, we were all feeling really good. We're watching the Broncos kick ass. We're having beers, and so it was kind of like just like a happy element to an already happy evening that wasn't really about, discussing what the PS4 is doing. But those were pretty cool. Kicking around robots and shit, that was a lot of freaking fun for anyone who's been able to do that. I really enjoyed it. But the games, we got to play Killzone, of course, Resogun, and Knack. So those are three, honestly, probably the only three noteworthy. Someone's going to kill me for probably not remembering something else. I have a list in front of me. I think the only noteworthy, again, higher profile PlayStation 4 exclusive games. Again, only talking exclusives. I know about Call of Duty and Battlefield. That's what we're not what we're talking about here. There's a few other things. Forgive me, I'm just kind of scrolling through my list here. That's Xbox. Warframe, not a game I'm familiar with. I did watch a little bit of a game called Contrast, which seemed pretty cool, but that's still really not the kind of experience I want to talk about. So, quick thoughts. Killzone definitely looked pretty damn good. That's part of the excitement of brand new hardware is how good do things look. And it looked great. Killzone to me is just an okay series as far as shooters, and I do love first-person shooters, especially the hardcore gritty ones. I'm actually a huge fan of those. And the game, it plays like typical Killzone, which is pretty heavy. I know the story is supposed to be kind of okay, nothing too compelling. Reviews have been overall decent for that game. Definitely one that I would want to own or play when I do pick up my PS4. Nothing really revolutionary, but still pretty cool, and it's a good hardcore shooter game to launch your PlayStation 4 with. Resogun is a weird one because it's got a lot of hype, a lot of buzz, some really great reviews from some people and websites that I really trust. Like my younger brother is a huge fan of it. He might be listening. A lot of people seem to like it, and I do love games like that, and I did like Resogun. From what I played, we only probably spent 20 minutes with these games, but it wasn't like amazing by any. I'm kind of surprised some of the reviews have been as good as they are, but it's probably the kind of game, because of its very deep, point scoring and leveling up system, that probably when you can sit down and spend a lot of time with it, it probably really sinks its teeth into you and you get into it. It's not mind-blowingly pretty, but it certainly uses a really good graphical style. We were likening it to Geometry Wars, and that launched with the 360. Man, that was good times. Geometry Wars, that's some good shit. And oh, excuse me, guys. So yes, Geometry Wars is some good shit, and Resogun is similar and pretty good. Although not amazing, it's definitely pretty good. Knack, that is the kind of game I typically eat up. I love games like that. I love the Marios and the Sonics and the Raymans and all the platforming. I love the colorful, bright characters and, very vibrant worlds and stuff like that. And Knack definitely is that kind of game. And I wanted to be excited for a while, and I haven't finally seen it, and I know the reviews are pretty poor on that game. I think they're a little bit harsh from the little bit I've seen, but overall, I see where they're coming from. There really doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on in that compared to what I thought it should have been, and honestly what it could have been. It certainly has the look and feel of a game that was maybe initially going to be like a PlayStation 3 game, and they decided to make it a PS4 launch game. I don't know that. That might be a well-documented fact about the title. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's definitely what it feels like to me, and that's okay if the game is really good. And honestly, the game is just nothing too exciting. So it's really those three games are the big ones that to me make sense to talk about for the PlayStation 4. Killzone, Shadowfall, Knack, Resogun. Overall, you know, Killzone and Resogun are pretty cool. Not phenomenal, but pretty cool. And Knack was, it was okay. And it didn't have a knack for kicking me in my ass, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, poor joke. The Xbox One. So here's where things get a little bit of interesting for me as a PlayStation fan. So the Xbox One, some of the big titles that I wanted to talk about, of course, Killer Instinct, Forza 5, which is a very big deal for Xbox fans and fans of that genre, which I am not, but I know that that's some serious shit. People love their racing, they love their simulations, they love their Forza, so kudos on Microsoft for being able to get that as the launch title. That's a big win for them. Crimson Dragon, and what's the other? Dead Rising 3, of course, hello. It seems like they have a little bit more sports titles initially launching on the Xbox as well. Maybe just one or two, I think I'm seeing. And Zoo Tycoon, Loco Cycle, something I'm not too familiar with. Some, of course, you know, the smaller games. And I shouldn't call the sports games smaller games, but those are kind of nebulous to me. I mean, I love sports, but not in video game form. We know they're going to sell well, so it kind of doesn't matter. But when it comes to the other few that I mentioned, here's what's interesting is, to me, as someone who's more excited for the PlayStation 4 as a unit and as a policy machine, if you will, I gotta say I'm gonna give it to the Xbox One here with those few titles that I mentioned. And again, I'm just paraphrasing. There are a few other small titles here and there between all these systems. As you heard, I'm just talking about the few, so forgive me if I'm leaving out the one or two on each system that you're like, oh, that's the one that really makes the difference. And sorry, I'm just one guy. This is my channel. These are the games I wanted to talk about that, to me, are making the impact when I consider the launches. So I need to say, Killer Instinct is the one I want to talk about the most because I am a child of the 80s and 90s gaming, and that includes arcades, and that includes when Rare was a phenomenal, unstoppable beast, and that includes the introduction of Killer Instinct into the world and into my life, which was an amazing time, and then, of course, Killer Instinct Gold and the Nintendo 64. Hot damn, what a great game. And so that has been a game in a series that I couldn't even tell you how much I was dreaming for that to come back, thinking I lived in a world where it was never going to happen because, as we all know, Rare turned into a big steaming pile of shit, and that is unfortunate because they used to be the opposite of that. And Killer Instinct was one of their flagship titles and franchises. So the idea of it coming back was just nonsense to me. And then it, of course, got announced at E3, and I was so excited. I can't even tell you guys how excited I am. I think on this channel, some of my early videos from around the time of E3, we actually discussed Killer Instinct in the E3 conferences and stuff, so you can probably go back and hear that. Some of my first few videos on this channel specifically. And man, that was so amazing. Then came the really unfortunate news about the release structure for that and the free-to-play concept. And you get, I think you start with Jago, and then you just unlock shit as you go and you buy other characters. And I don't even know, man. Downloadable only, free-to-play, buy other characters and content. Fuck that. How dare you do that to that game? That game deserved a more triumphant return than your Forza frickin' 5 or your whatever. Like, that is just the most pitiful, disrespectful thing to a franchise that helped build the industry to what it is today. Like, gaming through the 80s and 90s and that arcade genre, man, to me, really was building a lot of the foundation of the blocks that are holding up the industry that exists today, which is a behemoth, the industry. And, you know, Killer Instinct wasn't, like, imperative to that by any means, but it was a very popular, successful game during those times. And to me, it deserves our respect. And how dare you do this to this game? That is just, oh, I just was like, fuck the Xbox One and fuck Killer Instinct. I'm so pissed. But as time went on, I digressed, and I still overall stand by that principle, but I've honestly warmed up to the fact that it's really just nice to know that Killer Instinct is back. Visually, it looks great. It's just not like, as in like next gen kind of great, or like, oh my god, I've never seen graphics like that kind of great. Just, it looks like I'd want a very pretty 2013-esque Killer Instinct to look. So I think that that's really cool. I'm also kind of in the back of my brain sort of holding on to hope the next few months or year, maybe around the time I finally buy an Xbox One, they decide to release the full complete package in a retail disc. If they do that or had done that from the get-go, like, fuck it, $59 version, you guys will get $60 from me. I don't want to call them Rare. I don't know what company's making it now because it's not Rare, I don't think. But Killer Instinct, guys, if you want $60 from me, you could have released that shit in a box and put it in a store in GameStop. You would have had it. Same with a lot of other people. Now it's a little bit different, so... Anyway, trying to digress, the point is, now I've really realized that, honestly, it's a game that I'm excited for. It's also apparently pretty good. And the fact that it is apparently a solidly reviewing game and is apparently a good fighting game and a good Killer Instinct game, that just puts a lot of my fears, you know, aside. I mean, it really helps me not care too much about that. So that's a great thing. That is, in and of itself, even with the devastated, disrespectful, asinine, insulting release structure of that game, it's honestly more exciting to me than the 3 PS3 game or the 3 PS4 games that I was talking about, and honestly anything else I can see on this list for the PS4. Dead Rising 3. Initially wasn't very excited, heard a lot of rough things about it, that they weren't showing it off and letting people play it because maybe there was a lot of issues with it, so everyone was really nervous. I kind of was like, even though I liked Dead Rising 1, I just didn't really care that it was coming out. And then some of the stuff I've seen lately, and now some of the reviews, honestly, pretty damn excited. It looks gorgeous. I like Capcom when they do the right things, and I hope that they can get on their feet again because I know that company is struggling. And this is a great kind of exclusive launch for the Xbox One, especially in the face of what the PS4 has, which really isn't a lot in my opinion, even though I am excited for that machine. So Dead Rising 3, I mean, I got on the zombie train with Zombie U for the Wii U launch, and honestly, I'm feeling it now with Dead Rising 3 and the Xbox One. Again, Forza, I kind of shared my feelings. Not my cup of tea. However, kudos for getting that out for the launch because it's a big deal for gamers and for Xbox fans. So right on, you guys. I'm glad that you have that game to play because I know most people are a big fan of it, even though I'm not. And what was the other one? Crimson Dragon. A game I don't know a whole lot about. I know that there's been a lot of buzz and talk, and I did watch the trailer for it that it released at E3, and it looked really cool. Kind of reminiscent of Panzer Dragoon, going back to the Sega Saturn days, y'all. A lot of the young gamers out there who probably have no fucking idea what the Sega Saturn is. Trust me, you missed out on the golden age of gaming, and the Panzer Dragon games were awesome. Crimson Dragon, I should admit, I don't really know if it plays that way. I don't actually know how it plays at all. I've seen a few review scores, 1 or 2 videos, but I really don't. I think it's a shooter. I think it's that kind of a game. So it's hard for me to really say a lot about that. I mean, conceptually, you just read the title and it's like, wow, Crimson Dragon, that sounds pretty cool. It just has a badass kind of feel to it. But a lot of terrible games have great names and vice versa, so that's kind of hard to judge. All I can say is I know it is kind of a dark, gritty, medieval sort of thing. A dragon is involved, and the reviews are supposed to be just okay. So I don't really know how I feel about that, but I know it's another game to add to the notch in Microsoft's belt. So overall, what am I getting at here? As a Nintendo fan who was excited for the PS4 and the Xbox One, however, far more excited for the PS4 than the Xbox One, I have to say that having now played the PS4, granted only a few days before the Xbox One comes out, and looking at the list of games, the small list of exclusive games for each system, I gotta say that the Xbox games are more exciting. You could probably tell by the way I talked about them. Between Dead Rising and Killer Instinct, those are really exciting games that I definitely will be playing whenever I end up getting that system. Like I said, Killzone is definitely a game I will play, whether I borrow it from my friend or if I do end up kind of buying it. Definitely a game I'm going to play. I've decided to pass on Knack. Resogun is kind of, I believe, a free download. I don't know that. Maybe only for PlayStation Plus members, but I am one, so that's okay. So maybe it's either free or it's probably just a few bucks as a download. So that's probably a game I will get and play, but it's not a game that I'm like hyped for. It doesn't make me... I just think it's kind of too bad that that kind of game is getting a lot of the gaming attention for the PlayStation 4 when it would have been nice if there was some other things. But honestly, to bring it back down and end this video that of course was not short because I don't understand the meaning of the word. Honestly, the launches aren't exciting. That's really what we're getting down to. There's a few games I talked about that are exciting or were cool to play, but nothing amazing, nothing mind-blowing. We do know, as I discussed on the last video, here's the really interesting thing. Each one of these systems within what is being considered the launch window, quote-unquote, does have a very large, high-profile release, 2 games that I myself am interested in playing and want to be able to play and pick up, hopefully, day 1 for each system respectively. That is Infamous Second Son and Titanfall. Yes, I'm on the Titanfall bandwagon, and I have no problem admitting it. I am unapologetic. That game looks great. I love those kinds of shooters. I'm definitely more than a tad disappointed that that game has no single-player campaign and it's only an online multiplayer shooter, but honestly, I know that that's regardless what I would spend most of my time doing with that kind of game anyway. I'm excited to see the Respawn guys get back into it. I'm really shocked that that game is coming out on the 360. I think that's kind of strange, but kudos to them if they can make it run on the 360. Maybe it really speaks to how next-gen that game is, or how next-gen the consoles really even are, that we can get that stuff to happen. Destiny, I think, is not launch window, but I do think it's early-ish next year, maybe like spring or so. That is a game I'm very excited for. Haven't decided which system I'm going to play that on quite yet, but I am very excited for that. But ultimately, launches are never exciting. It took the Wii U 10 months before really good games started freaking coming out. And now it's great, but it took that long. And honestly, it's going to take as long for both the PlayStation and the Xbox. As I've been saying for the last several months, just you wait till holiday 2014 when all three systems are firing on all cylinders. It's going to be insane. And honestly, we're the ones that are going to win. It's the gamers that are going to win. Tons of shit to play, tons of games to buy, tons of money to blow. Oh my freaking god, it's going to be both terrible and amazing at the same time. And I'm really excited. We do know that the Wii U has a really strong year throughout because I know Smash Brothers, Donkey Kong, and Bayonetta are all kind of smattered. Oh, and Mario Kart. Jesus Christ. And I'm not even including X because we don't even know what that comes out. So, but the ones that we know are kind of in the first half-ish of the year are supposed to be Smash Brothers. That could get delayed, but Smash Brothers, which is gargantuan release. Like I said, Bayonetta 2 and Donkey Kong. So those are three very high-profile games that are going to sell a lot and move a lot of units. And then, you know, I don't know when Mario Kart's supposed to come out. So that's probably going to end up being Christmas, if not Smash Brothers 2, but we'll see. Again, Christmas next year is going to be great. What do you guys think? That's just was my quick but not so quick thoughts on the launch titles. It's exciting to know the PS4 just came out. It's exciting to know the Xbox One is going to be out on Friday. It's going to be an exciting rest of the year and an exciting 2014 and holiday and beyond. It's a great time to be a gamer. It's a great time to be a console fan. Everyone's doing great things. There's no reason to hate anybody. All three companies make great systems and great games. Let's just let it be what it is. Yes, it's a console war, quote unquote. But we're all playing everything. Who gives a shit? Just love the games. Share your thoughts. What do you prefer of the three systems? What do you think between PlayStation and Xbox? Subscribe to the video. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Tell me you think I'm awesome or you hate me. And thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.